Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, no matter where you're calling in from. We're super grateful to have you here for today's Common Ground webinar series event. My name is Henrik Bick. I'm here with the communications team at the Music Business Association, and I'm glad to welcome you to today's webinar. Before we intro our hosts and get things started, I just have a couple of quick housekeeping notes to help you make the most of today's webinar and to learn about what Music Biz is up to in the next few weeks. First and foremost, if you'd like to network with your fellow attendees today, be sure to change the chat settings on your Zoom dashboard to everyone so that way you can communicate with one another. We're also going to have some open-ended discussion during today's webinar, so be sure to drop your notes from the discussion today in there so that way our panelists can see. We'll also be doing dedicated time for Q&A at the end of today's webinar in order to make sure our hosts see your questions. Going to ask you to use the dedicated Q&A box on your Zoom dashboard. Click the Q&A button and that'll pop up in a separate window for you. You can drop your questions in there and then everyone on today's call will be able to see it. Reminder that in case you missed something from today's webinar or want to share with a colleague, it will be recorded and posted to Music Biz's website by end of day today. If you're a Music Biz member or part of a member company, you can access this recording for the tenure of your company's membership and all recordings we've done over the past decade or so. If you're a non-member, you'll be able to access that recording from our website for 90 days after today. Outside of our webinars, we just announced earlier today that during our Music Biz annual conference, Music Biz 2025, taking place May 12th to the 15th for the first time ever in Atlanta, Georgia. We are just shared details on the folks that are going to be presenting and performing during our 2025 Busy Awards dinner. In case you missed the news, artist and founder of Reach Records, Lecrae, will be hosting our Busy Awards dinner, and you'll see performances from artists Yami Safdie and Taylor Parks. After the awards conclude at 9 o'clock on Wednesday, May 14th, we'll have our annual after party hosted this year by Downtown. After a short cocktail mixer, we will have the evening hosted by artist Adela, and you'll see performances by Sierra Spirit, Pink Sifu, and a DJ set from Genius. We're super grateful to have all those folks there, and we hope to welcome you to the conference and the awards dinner if you're attending. For more information on the presenters and for all things Music Biz, you can visit musicbiz.org, and you'll see everything from the homepage of the site. While you're there, you can also check out info on our other Common Ground webinars, the ones that we've hosted earlier this year that we have recordings for, and our concluding spring 2025 webinar session happening a week from today. Outside of that, you'll also see information on our Music Biz Passport series. We had an awesome debut for the International Music Biz Passport webinars last year, and we're excited to bring it back this year. We hosted our first session last Tuesday, and that recording is available for free on our site. Again, that's musicbiz.org. As I mentioned, the conference is coming up quick. We are just 2 weeks away from Music Biz, and we're super excited to welcome everybody who's coming to Atlanta. If you need to get your ticket sorted and find out about travel details, everything you need can be found at musicbiz2025.com. Also, be sure to follow us on socials at MusicBizAssoc on LinkedIn and Instagram. But enough from me. You're not here to hear from me today. You're here to hear from the Symphony OS team. So please welcome to lead today's session, Meg and Shuka from the Symphony OS team. Guys, take it away.
Hey, how's it going, everyone? Thank you so much for having us. We're super hyped to dive in, and we've been a member of Music Biz for a few years now, and always have fun at the conferences. So we're hyped to be in Atlanta this year and dive in. But yeah, I'm Meg. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Symphony OS. Chuka, you wanna give a little intro?
How's it going, guys? Chuka, co-founder of Symphony OS, Chief Business Officer. Super excited to dive into the platform and give you guys an in-depth look at some of our latest and greatest and maybe even some sneak previews as well.
Big on sneak previews. So just some background before we kind of dive in. So Chuka and I have been working together for 10 years now, specifically in like the music marketing and entertainment marketing space. Initially met up, our first company we started in 2016, and it was focused on digital marketing and early on helping artists build like really fire websites. Got to work with some really cool people like SZA for CTRL and Big Sean, a bunch of major label artists early on, and then in 2018 we moved more into digital marketing, where labels will come to us. They'd be like, hey, this artist is rolling out. They're trying to sell merch. They're trying to sell tour tickets. What can we do digitally? So Chuka and I over the years just got really deep and hands-on with how to kind of grow online and all the different tools that exist to kind of do it. And Symphony was really the end output of that, where we kind of realized that, data is all over the place. I'm sure all y'all, whether you're an artist or a manager or someone on the supporting team, you probably use like 3, 4, or 5 different tools to do marketing, whether it's like the link in bio, your Shopify, your MailChimp, or your Laylo, your ads and your influencer agency, whatever it may be. And we kind of realized that with so much data all over the place, it was very hard to get marketing done. Symphony was the end output of that, where, we're trying to bring together all these different platforms into one place, all these different tools to act on your audience and act on your data. Let me share my screen and I can actually walk you all through it. Chuka, do you have anything to add to that intro?
Yeah. To Meg's point, as you guys all know, there's a lot of different platforms. And for us, the kind of the nature of our industry is very project driven and cyclical. It's driven in cycles. And so Symphony really exists for two primary reasons. One is the centralization of the data, but also if you think about how the best marketing campaigns are run, it's a continuous process. You're constantly growing the audience, constantly feeding more and more data into the audience. But because of the project-based nature of our business, oftentimes it's a new game every album or every project. And so for us, we want to bring the concept of almost like the memory card, that the memory card and what it did to video games in the 90s, right? Saving progress. You might change your team, you might change your label, but yourself as the manager or the artist, as long as you have this central source of truth, you will always have that progress and not have to start a new game every time.
100%. It's all about the progress and bringing data together. Jump into the platform, we'll run through just some like high level kind of overviews of the different tools. There's a lot in here. So I won't go super deep in everything, but I'll give everyone kind of a high level idea of how everything works together. Back to what I was saying about data, right? If y'all think about it, a lot of discovery nowadays happens on social media. It happens through things like short form content on YouTube, on streaming platforms. And so the Symphony experience starts out with your streaming and your social platforms. First thing you do is you onboard an artist. Anyone can have multiple profiles. So if you're a label or a management company, you can link everyone up as well. But every profile starts with all these data points, social streaming platforms. What happens from there on is obviously from the front facing, you can start tracking data. You can do deep dive drill downs by date ranges, download reports, things like that. But behind the scenes is where the magic is really happening, where we have machine learning models going out and grabbing the location data, the age data, gender data, interest data from all these platforms, at least whatever we can find out there. And so it's in real time, like as it's collecting this data, kind of learning who your audience is for the artists and their unique audience. So it starts with like the social media layer. The second piece of technology we built out, and we kind of realized this after running so many campaigns, you might run ads or send traffic to a Ticketmaster page or to a Feature FM or to Shopify or Linktree. And what ends up happening is when you're tracking just the social media data or just the advertising data, the connection of data kind of breaks when it gets sent to some other platform. And so we kind of realized that if we could combine these two things into one place, the ads and the website, we could really track the data end to end. So our website tool is really built around that concept where, it's your traditional kind of, link in bio, your music side, your data collection side, or drop, event page. But we've gone in and added a lot of different customizations where, you might have an event page on here, but you can also plug in your music into here, right? And have like a music player if you want to for your releases. You can customize it and go in and add data collections like emails, phone numbers, whatever you want, custom fields. So, that was a little bug. We just dropped this feature like literally today, so you're seeing some of that sneak preview Chico was talking about. But the intention for all this is not just to let you customize and make the site really custom. It's more so the data, right? This website is where a lot of fans initially interact with you. They go from social media into places like Spotify or Shopify through your link in bio. So this is really a data point and data capture point for us. So you can plug in your Pixel, your TikTok analytics, but then all your data around who's actually clicking through and where they're coming from also comes through. So now you're kind of demystifying the social media data that sometimes social media platforms don't give you. by using your link in bio as a way to almost be able to track these fans that are engaging with you. That is very, it's kind of the starting point of our link in bio, where we're adding a lot more tools to it. But the idea is that these common conversion objectives we have when we're rolling out music or even off cycle, like promoting music or collecting data, promoting events, creating pre-saves, we build templates for every single one of those. As you're collecting and building kind of an email list or a data collection list within Symphony, we have a CRM built in too. So all of your emails come into here. Where we're able to, we try and resolve, geolocations. So, cities, state, country, things like that sometimes get associated as well with fans. And then we link their DSP too if they came with the pre-save. So we're kind of building these like very enriched fan profiles, and we have a lot of ideas of where to take this, but ultimately our goal is to let you close the loop and reach out to these fans on the same platform, where it all kind of comes together. And where I think, we've kind of spent a lot of time getting really advanced is our marketing tool set. And so when it comes to promoting music, promoting shows, promoting events, posts, whatever it may be, there's usually two problems you have to solve, right? You might have a marketing plan. Now you're like, all right, cool, I got to go run my ads on Instagram or go run my ads on TikTok. Setting up the campaigns sometimes is really annoying. Ads managers are very unforgiving. I'm sure everyone here has had an experience with ads manager where it might be annoying, or you might have overspent because it's kind of hard to set up. Me and Chuka have had our fair share of those experiences for sure. But we kind of built, on one side, a really seamless interface on top of these ads managers, where instead of going in there and being like traffic, awareness, sales, it's actually just based on your goal at the given time. So maybe you just dropped a song and you want to promote music streams from Instagram to DSPs, or maybe you have a sound going crazy. You want to amplify that, grow your newsletter signups, or boost your ticket sales. We built in all of these playbooks for Instagram and Meta's platform based on that. And the same with TikTok. If you want to boost on-platform creates, you can promote a TikTok sound. You can send traffic to your profile to get more views on a video. Send folks from TikTok to DSPs. And what's really nice about this tool is that, it's very user friendly, but when we kind of built it, or when we were kind of building it, we kind of realized that we could take the best of the technology that are in these ads platforms and make it very accessible for folks, and make this whole experience of running ads actually really, really simple. So you go in there, let's say, you just dropped a song, you want to go and promote some music. You go in there, select the latest single. You can ABC test up to 5 posts. So it's very powerful in that regard. You can set your budget. You can set your start and end date. Where it's really powerful is that you can go and deep dive, drill down into location targeting. So you're able to really, really seamlessly go in and specify any locations you want to tour in, or locations you want to roll this music out in. You can also go in, and because you can specify different locations, you can even plant the seed of your music in places you may want to do a tour in. So we've seen artists go in there and they'll pick like Seattle or LA, New York, Miami, London, even international places they want to go out and eventually do shows in, and they'll promote every record they drop in these places just as a way to start building awareness before they ever announce an actual show. So it's very flexible on the ad creation front. If you want to run through it, you can go through and create ads in like 30 seconds. If you're more, leaned in and you want to like customize your audience targeting, your locations, that's all very doable and accessible. Where it really gets, on the other side, where it gets very helpful is on the analytics of how things actually went. And so, half the battle is just actually setting up the campaigns. The other half the battle is knowing how they actually went. Was this good? Was this bad? How do you decipher all this data coming in from all these different ad campaigns you may be running? So we built a lot of tech around this, where if you run a campaign and your goal is, let's say, to grow your song or album streams, our dashboards will be specific and tell you this is how many ad clicks you got. This is how many clicks to streaming services you got. These are the platforms fans clicked on and the distribution. This is the growth in followers and Instagram followers. And what's nice is that this is all from the ads platform, that it combines our website data too. So we try and bring these two sources together. Demographic breakdowns are available for everything. Asset breakdowns of ABC testing, so you can go in there and see which asset is performing the best. And we're starting to roll out some more AI features as well. And this one is our first one, called Maestro Scorecards, where we've built an AI that actually scans your campaign every single day and it tells you how it's doing, tells you where you could potentially improve. It's really almost like a coach for your marketing, and it kind of leads into the sneak peeks Chuko was talking about, where we're kind of working on almost like a chat GPT for marketing type interface. Chuka, I know you're super hype on this. You wanna drop a few words on what's coming up?
Yeah, I mean, I know we just breezed through a lot of the app and the playbooks. Even before we dive into this stuff, to kind of summarize, this has now become somewhat of the internal tool. Megan, I often refer to it as is like the Lego tool set. Like you've got all the different bricks, and now the challenge or our challenge as marketers is using that data to create or orchestrate the perfect, uh, you know, sequence of a plan, right? So, when does it make sense to boost the sound or start getting and driving traffic to that sound? Because really, it's like air traffic control at this point. You're like, where am I pushing this traffic and in what order to drive the outcome that I'm trying to optimize for as a music marketer? Which is usually more streams, more video views, or likely, selling tickets or product. So I mean, just something to think about. If you think about it, you like spend time within our playbooks. It's really, there's no like one size fit all. Because oftentimes folks are asking us, what is the best playbook? Of course, like people want to drive streaming consumption, but it really has to do with your goals and what you're optimizing for, and where specifically you're at within that artist's cycle. Um, yeah, that's food for thought. I'm happy to dive into the chat GPT for marketing side of things now for sure. Yeah, I mean, kind of even branching out on that subject of like where the artist is at. There's a lot of things that we can tell with data, right? Right now, we can tell when an artist has just released a new track. We can tell when there's a certain amount of engagement happening on a social platform that's an anomaly. We could tell if maybe there is a dip in engagement from what it usually is. And so we're starting to train our AI more and more around these behaviors, these patterns within specific artists that are linked into to the platform. What that means is we're adding another layer of context, the kind of context that you have when you hire an agency, you know, when you're, engaging the digital person on your label, when you can call them and ask them, hey, where are my TikTok numbers at specifically today, or how did the last post do, or the 9 posts we posted this week, how did they do compared to the post we did last week? That's where things are headed with Maestro. And what Maestro is, what Meg is showing you here is the agentic layer that lives in me. And what Maestro really does, again, is provide context, use that context to further instruct the perfect action plan or the perfect ideal sequence. Excuse me. The perfect ideal sequence, or at least suggest the perfect ideal sequence for that artist based on where they're at, right? Where the social data is at, where their engagement is at, how recently they just released the project. And then, of course, you adding that input of your goals, right? Maestro could come back and tell you, hey, based on where the song is at right now, it's bubbling in Thailand. Let's implement a trigger strategy where we're trying to see if we can get this song to impact locally within Southeast Asia, and then we're gonna blow it up outwardly. And this is like not, of course, I'm sure many of you guys are familiar with strategy like this, super old. But these are things that Maestro will actually suggest because it's been trained on thousands of marketing plans over the last few years of us working at Integral. So we're really excited to roll that out because like not everyone's Maestro experience is going to be the same. Um, and then the idea of like voice and being able to speak to it, call it on a Friday, call it on a Saturday, on any day you want, and be able to flight campaigns. I think Maestro's listening right now, actually. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get the
I don't think the
her.
audio works. Yeah.
But I mean, that is definitely the future of where things are headed with Symphony. I know we just like showed you guys a lot of features and a lot of tools. So um I feel like maybe open up for like a couple questions before we dive into the case study further.
Well, thanks so much for giving us a walkthrough on the platform and the updates, guys. Really appreciate it. Folks, if you've got any questions about what we've seen so far, feel free to drop them in the Q&A box and we'll answer them before we get into today's case study.
SMS capabilities. Yeah, so Maddie, great question. SMS capabilities are on the way soon. We're kind of rolling it out in a staggered way. Email should be out sometime within the next like 3 to 5 weeks. And then we want to follow that up with SMS. We're looking really closely at WhatsApp as well. We have a very big international user base. So we're trying to cover all the bases when we roll it out.
Totally. And I don't know if you guys saw, we actually released the mobile app today. So a big piece of why we're taking our time with email and the SMS experience is because, as you guys could imagine, most of the users are on mobile, and we want to make sure that that is a special experience, especially when we're talking about drafting long form emails. So definitely stay tuned on that front. We can go through the next question. Can you offer this to labels as a service or only clients of Symphony? We actually partner with a bunch of major distributors who then trickle down and pass on the service to labels within their ecosystem. So we technically do partner with labels in special ways. We offer discounts if you're partnered, if you are partnered with one of our partner distributors. Um, I hope that answers your question. So, I mean, but again, like, the whole idea of Symphony is not to gatekeep. We spent 10 plus years working alongside major labels, pushing a lot of their frontline acts. And we want to bring the same tools, the same strategies, the same methodologies to everyone. So anyone can use this tool. The idea is not to gatekeep it in any way, any shape or form. And I see they've got an API question. Yes, we do have an API. Feel free to reach out. We can talk more about that. The API is currently actively being integrated in a few distributors. So we're super excited about that. We'll be able to announce more when that stuff is live. But as of now, it's currently live within Engineers, which is a dual-sided marketplace for music service providers. But it is a good example of how the ads API can be extended within other apps.
Yeah, I think there's a question from Craig around adding your own plans into Maestro. Yes, that is something we're working on. So we're hoping to make Maestro almost a starting point of a bunch of different types of playbooks that rely on LLMs to build them. One idea we have is for Maestro is the ability to let you go in and upload any information you already have. Like maybe you have an Instagram post or set of content you want to link to Maestro. Maybe you have some videos or even like a document or marketing plan someone's already made on your team. You can almost feed that in as a local source that Maestro then reads from to make your marketing plan or amend it over time. So we're playing around with a lot of similar tools like Notebook LM and things like that that kind of rely on AI and crunch information. But when it rolls out, you'll definitely be able to kind of add things in directly from here.
We have another question in the Q&A box. Mark wants to know what separates you from platforms like Found.
Oh, it's a great question. I mean, a big piece of it is that the ad integrations we have are where fans are. Most fans find music on short form content nowadays. That's a proven fact. And when you're running advertising, you're spending ad budget on these platforms. I believe Found only supports kind of like banner ads and search ads and things like that. What we've kind of built from day one is this idea of social media advertising and advertising to fans on these platforms. So I would say the biggest difference is that the advertising platforms that we facilitate and cater to is where most music discovery happens today. Found is more so based on like the search traffic, banner ads, things like that. That's always from my side. Chuka, you have any thoughts?
I go back to the memory card analogy always, right? You kind of want, because we're not opposed to folks using other tools. It's just about where that data lives. Like if we were we were running a lemonade stand, we would have a central customer list somewhere, right? And if we wanted to try something out, we sure, as long as we can import it and move it, But that idea of progress is truly the difference between our tool set and everyone else.
All right, awesome. We have another question from Tony. Is this the same Maestro that Amazon Music uses?
No, it's not. I think they were inspired by our naming paradigm a bit, but it's not the same Maestro.
And then Craig says, do you have
Have a good day.
plans,
Oh, you too.
do you have plans to integrate with the e-commerce platforms like Shopify?
Most definitely, yeah. As we're kind of building into this year, our plan is to go more down funnel with the marketing we're able to support on. And so looking at e-commerce integration, Shopify, Etsy, even some on-platform integrations around doing commerce. So like, buying and selling digital goods or subscriptions, that's something we're looking at very closely. But to specifically answer your question, we're rolling out a playbook to boost Shopify sales, probably later this quarter. So it'll be on the way soon.
Awesome. More things to look out for. All right, everyone, if you want to keep sending in your questions, we have some time left. Panelists, if you have more to say, you can go ahead and share.
We'll give it like a minute, and then we can introduce our rock star manager that we have here. Cool. So you guys want to dive in? Meg, you want to cue it up?
Let's cue it up. So Jamie is a longtime friend, and she's actually probably one of the first like 100 beta users. So she's been on Symphony for the longest time. But she's used Symphony with a variety of her acts and in different capacities. So excited to kind of dive in with you, Jamie, and have you kind of talk about your experiences.
Yeah, I'm so happy to like talk about this just because as soon as I learned about Symphony, I was like screen sharing and showing people about Symphony. When I first met Meg, I was actually an account manager for SoundCloud's distribution division. And it was before, I feel like it was before even distributors were using Symphony. And then once everyone started hopping on, I was like, yes, like amazing. And most recently, I've used Symphony in the case that I have a couple artists that are distributing and working with Downtown Artists and Label Services. Um, and one of the great case studies that we've used many times is my artist Ryan Nealon, who had a crazy viral moment, and we used Symphony's tools to kind of throw more fuel onto that fire, and it really made a huge difference. But I still use it all the time. I'm excited for all the new features too. I didn't know that we could boost sound. I'm like literally gonna get off this call and go do that for artists like next release. I'm very excited. But yeah, that's me. I now have my own artist and rights management company called Heart and Songs. So yeah, fellow entrepreneur.
We're here. And one thing that was happening too, just from what I saw was like Ryan's sound and music was kind of taking off crazy on socials, and y'all just poured gasoline through the ads, right?
Yeah, I think that a big thing that artists know generally, they know that they need to invest in their music. But I think they get overwhelmed by the fact. I mean, I remember running business ads on like Facebook Business Manager and it always changing, it never really working. Like the ads would keep breaking and I was like watching YouTube videos. And so like the fact that Symphony allows it to be very user friendly. I've shown so many artists that have gone on and done their own like promotions. It's super important. Like once there's something going off and like there's traction, even if it's a little bit of traction, it's all relative to, nobody seeing it and like all of a sudden there's like 1,000 views. Like that is enough of an example to run an ad campaign to try it out. So that's what we've done a lot of.
Totally.
Love it.
Meg, you want to maybe we could pull up the dashboard.
Yeah, we can load it up. Mm. Boom. Boom. There we go. Is it this one?
I think it's that one.
Gotcha.
Sometimes there's several accounts we're talking about.
What's interesting is so you use Symphony in like mad different ways, it sounds like. You've used like the YouTube side and the pre-saves and like the websites. What's been like your experience, just across like the different playbooks and like when to use them?
Yeah, I think that because Ryan Nealon, specifically, all of his success has been from several extremely viral moments across his Instagram and TikTok, and they kind of work hand in hand. It's very funny to see how a song might take off on Instagram or TikTok, and then sometimes it's both platforms, and then we're like very happy about it. But yeah, I think that there's so many unique ways to lean in. We've promoted some videos that are kind of like a call to action. So he had a song called I Was Wrong, where it was like the whole idea of the song is I was wrong, they wanting to one day be happy and married, and he used a bunch of clips of people getting proposed to, and it was like it really resonated with other people using the sound as well. Maybe they did find their person or they're still searching for their person. Ryan specifically, all of his music is very lyrically moving, and a lot of the content we create and post is really trial and error. Like sometimes we have a great idea and it just doesn't really take off. And then sometimes it really resonates and takes off, specifically for this like one campaign, just because I know that everyone's had a moment in their life where it's like, am I ever going to find my person and, live happily ever after? So we really leaned into stuff like that. And then his initial song that like really changed his whole life and his career was Feel Good. And that's the one where um typically we don't do too big of a budget, but we partnered with Downtown, where they helped us and we threw like 5K on a campaign, and that was really crazy. And the amount of growth and like views on the video, just every day he was growing a ton, and then especially like on the followers side. And in tandem, we really love using the pre-save and like promotional website links because like you said, like I think he has like 6,000 or 7,000 emails collected, which is really awesome and great. So I've used that tool a lot to export those contacts and put them into MailChimp, and then we are able to categorize by location if we have that on hand, which is really helpful when it comes time to him playing a show in LA. He went on tour with Blue Eyes. We were able to target those specific territories that these fans are in, to let them know, hey, Ryan's coming and playing locally. Obviously, we use tools like Bandsintown, but sometimes you can get more from just their straight up, email, being able to contact these people directly, because he didn't have a huge following on Bandsintown. His huge following is people seeing his viral moments, pre-saving, and therefore we get the contact information. So it's kind of like a ripple effect, but trying to use all of these things together to really put it together.
Thanks for that, Jimmy. That's wow. That's really, really in depth. It actually like sparked a couple of questions. I'm curious, like before you guys had stumbled upon Symphony or before Meg and I pursued you guys to be one of our first early testers, what tools were you using or were you living with? It sounds like there's a little bit of MailChimp in there before that and even still now. But trying to understand a little bit around what your current marketing stack is.
Yeah, I myself had some experience previously with like Facebook Business Ads Manager. I worked at a media company, so it wasn't music related. It was more just like content and graphics wise. So I had some experience, but I think either way, I would like try and run a campaign on Facebook Business Manager, and it was like not going well, or the cost per click was just like outrageously bad, like $2. And so I was like, wow, we're just flushing money down the toilet. And then in the past, before Symphony, we have had a couple advertisers. So we would pay them, whatever the amount of budget for the ads, and then they would, charge a percentage on how much, ads we're running. So if we're running ads for like a couple $1,000s, they would also additionally on top of that charge like $500 to $1,000
Right.
the ads. And the one thing with that is that we didn't have access to their Facebook ads portal. So we didn't really know what was going on with the ads, which is really important because you need to be able to know what is performing well and what's not doing well. So you can pause, or you can add more money to it, or you can adjust, which is super important because I think a lot of times I don't mind, promoting to all over the world. But sometimes if it's something specific, like a US tour, like there's no reason to waste money on like people who are not in the US that will not be showing up to the tour. And so I think that the geographic like targeting is super important, depending on what you're promoting.
Oh yeah, no, thanks for that. Yeah, I feel like even as a former agency person, I do feel like the more that you see how bigger the long tail of independent artists is becoming, it's that little extra 500 or $1,000 counts. It matters. It could be the difference between a couple hundred followers that buy something later on and later on at some point in their career. So that's super important.
I think
Um,
it's also always hard to convince creatives to spend money on something like this, even though they will spend money on like, $1,000 photo shoot because they understand that that's a tangible thing that they're going to get in the end. So it's always like if there's any artist managers on here or people that work with creators, they know it's kind of like pulling teeth to try and, conceptualize, yes, you're investing money into something that's like not tangible and we don't really know the results, but still there are results to be had, especially in such a competitive climate where now posting that video of you listening to the song with your friend in the car is no longer unique. Like that's just done so much. So you have to use extra tools and extra ways to get it across.
That is actually a really fair point because even now, right, it's still a common theme. We'll talk to different managers who oftentimes are like, "Hey, we know we have to run these ads, but can we run these as dark posts because X artist is not necessarily interested in having these ads come out from their page." Was there a conversation you have with Ryan, and what that look like in terms of like, or do you look like for a certain level of savviness from artists when it comes to like, hey, like we're going to throw the kitchen sink at this thing, and this is what we need to do for your career. Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, when I was discussing, real, I don't know whatever the opposite of dark ads are, just like in feed on your
Right,
profile
right.
versus dark ads. Was talking to Tim at Downtown who like helped with like marketing and stuff. And he was like telling Ryan, you can do an art dark ad, but here's the thing is that like engagement really helps. And like the fact that people are already engaging on your page organically, like it takes away from what could happen. But at first he was hesitant. I mean, I do think that artists want it to appear organic. They want it to appear that like they did it
Are
overnight
trying.
and shows, which is like I am totally on board with that. Like I don't want to do the like pay for play situation, but there is a version of this where it's like your peers that are signed to like major labels, like they're running ads. Like you're not alone in this. So yeah, making sure that it's the most, genuine and, you know, casual way that makes them feel better about the ads. But yeah, every artist is different. Some artists, I manage an artist that really doesn't do much on social media, but does well on streaming. So we decide how we're going to, use those ads. We're going to target his followers that already follow him that he has a new song out. He doesn't do
Mm,
videos where he's standing. He's like an electronic down tempo artist. Like it's the complete opposite of what Ryan is. But there are ways to match, I guess, the artist's vibe or like
mhm.
vision.
It's super important. No, like it really makes a difference. I feel like now where we have infinite tools and the war chest keeps growing and people are talking about clipping and it's like literally like, what is the creative. Like, what is the story we're telling? And I feel like you guys really dial in with that, even across Ryan and the lyrical content you guys have, done really well with. So like kudos to you guys for real. Shout out to y'all.
Thank you. We're trying our best.
For sure. Meg, do you have any follow-up questions?
No, really. I mean, it's been dope obviously supporting Jamie throughout the time you've been using Symphony. And I think too, to what Jamie's saying, like the flexibility is I think key for us too, where certain artists might lean in to advertising on Symphony. Certain artists might lean into just pre-saves on Symphony. Certain artists might just lean into the websites on Symphony. So I think what's nice too is that you can take these building blocks and like use them when it makes sense for you. And then, we're not requiring you to come in and spend budget to get value from the platform. You can still understand your audience and get pre-saves and build an email list without having to spend $1 above, up into like the advertising budgets that come with ads platforms. But no, I think like, yeah, this is super the dope kind of deep dive into the Ryan use case and how he's been using it. Should we open the floor up for like any Q&A?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just saw one come through from D. Can you explain how the marketing tool works? Do you pay an additional fee to run ads in addition to subscriptions? So Symphony is $20 a month per artist. And for the near future, it will likely forever be that price. Like Megan just explained, you could run a bunch of we have a bunch of playbooks that don't require ad spend or paid traffic to get, to get that engagement going. But if you were to run a paid advertising campaign, we actually don't take a percentage of your advertising spend up to $1,000 per month. And then after that, I believe it's like a 2% automation fee or something like that. So really minimal. I hope that answers your question.
It looks like we have a couple more in the Q&A box. One from Craig, can it provide guidance on budget splits across platforms?
Not quite yet, but that's where we envision something like Maestro coming into play with our kind of AI guidance, AI tool set. We wanna obviously like kind of provide guidance and have it tell you, hey, spend this much in these locations or spend this much for this length. Right now, it's very utility oriented of like, all right, I'll go in and set up a campaign, and we add some smarts around how it's set up. But I think V2 is more this feedback loop of like, all right, well, like if I put in this budget, this is the impact and this is the ROI. But that is something that's on the way with Maestro.
It looks like we have another one from Christina. A question for later / the end, please. Who offers a basic course and which one would you recommend people take to become familiar with AI fundamentals?
I personally, for me, like as I've gotten into it, YouTube has been very helpful. Like there's like if you just search like AI, what is an AI agent or whatever, there's a lot of really helpful videos on YouTube breaking it down from a lot of different angles. Obviously like yeah, Udemy I'm sure has like proper courses on it, but YouTube as well has a lot of deep dives into different subject areas within AI.
It really depends too, like what area you're interested in. But if you're interested in AI from like a builder perspective, or which kind of prompting is essentially just building, there's this guy Greg Eisenberg that does really good videos on YouTube and Twitter around just prompting and using that to create things. So I would look into that as well.
It looks like Dee asked another question in the chat. Could you explain how the marketing tool works? Do you pay any additional fee to run ads in addition to the subscription fees?
Oh, yeah, we answered that one.
Okay.
As we have a little bit more time here, I just want to encourage folks, if you've got any more questions, feel free to drop them in the chat and we will get to them before we wrap up the session. But Thank you to everybody who has been super engaged from the very beginning and been dropping questions in since we went through the platform demonstration. You really made today's webinar super dynamic. And thank you, Meg. Thank you, Chuka. Thank you, Jamie, for spending time today with us to talk through Symphony OS, what it offers artists, and to give us a really impactful look at the case study of how it is helping to boost careers. This is super exciting stuff. And it's always awesome to see how the tech winds up paying off for the folks who use it. So we really, really appreciate y'all being here today and walking through everything. So if you've got any more questions, folks, feel free to drop them in the Q&A box in the waning moments of the webinar here, and we'll be sure to answer them.
It looks like we have a question asking for what example distributors you work with, or
Oh,
where that lists those.
yes. Right now, we are partnered with all the distributors within Downtown Systems for Downtown Music, CD Baby. We are also partnered with United Masters. We most recently announced a partnership with Symphonic. I don't want to miss any of them. But forgive me if I'm
SoundCloud,
forgetting SoundCloud. Yes, SoundCloud.
Audio Mac,
I just don't want to announce one that's like not announced yet. But there's a
Audio
lot of
Mac.
yes, Audio Mac. Lots of distributors on the way. But I mean, shout out to you guys. I think maybe really when it comes to it, it's really a discounted service. Maybe there's a future where members of the Music Biz Association have the same offering. So I wouldn't sweat it. I wouldn't sweat the where we're aligned with right now. Symphony is for all. I think I think Elena dropped our contact in here as well. So if anyone has any questions, happy to answer them on a 1v1 feedback. If you guys are using like a little bit, you're on the more advanced end of the spectrum, we love talking to those folks. So would love to connect further with you guys and happy to extend trials to everyone in here.
Maddie in the chat is asking about recording for this webinar. Today's webinar has been recorded. We will be posting it to our website. I'm going to drop the link for that in the chat now. You can expect that recording to be posted by end of day today. For the folks in the audience who are part of Music Biz member companies, y'all have unlimited access to this recording and our other past webinar recordings from the past 10 years. For the tenure of your membership. For folks who are not part of the community, you'll have access to this for 90 days after the air date today. Looks like we've got one more question in the Q&A. This comes from D. Is there a separate tool for labels to help them manage multiple artists and multiple projects?
Great question. So we have a plan we've been beta testing for Teams, but it's not something we've rolled out widely yet. But most likely by the end of May, we'll have it fully rolled out. And the intention is that if you have multiple artists, multiple campaigns, even multiple data sources of maybe email lists you've already collected, you can kind of centralize them all into the roster view that we're kind of rolling out, and then it'll show you in one glance how everyone's kind of doing across the board. So it's not out yet, but if you sign up for Symphony, we send out email blasts every few weeks when we have product updates. So you'll definitely get notified when it comes out.
All right, it looks like we are coming to the end of questions as of right now. But again, Meg and Chuka, thank you for giving us a walkthrough of Symphony OS on the platform level. And thank you, Jamie, for talking to us about how this is used in the field and how it's been used to boost your artist careers. This is really exciting stuff. Folks, if you're looking to connect further with the Symphony OS team, their LinkedIns are in the chat. Also, I do believe y'all will be participating in Music Biz 2025. I know, Chuka, you'll be on one of our panels, so we're really excited to have you there. Folks, thank you again so much for being with us today for the Common Ground webinar series. Be sure to check out that recording if you missed something that you want to relive later today. And we hope to welcome you to our final Spring 2025 session a week from today. Thank you all again for being here and hope you have a great rest of the day.
And you guys.
Everyone, appreciate it.